A lot of us enjoy swimming, especially a late night swim in calm waters at dusk as the moon illuminates the tranquil waters. However, some waters hold dark secrets, abandoned ships, and ghosts that lurk beneath the dark depths, waiting for unsuspecting swimmers to approach. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 haunted waters of the world. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments, and with that, let's jump in. Coming in at number 5, Lower Yellowstone Falls, Wyoming. All the way back in 1870, a group of 5 American militiamen and their crow guide went exploring in the canyons of Yellowstone. Native American tribesmen stole their horses overnight, so the militiamen began pursuit and caught up with the tribe who were crossing the river near the lower falls. Now the tribe had constructed a raft, however, it was not strong enough to traverse the currents of the falls, but most of the horses had already been able to swim across. The men and women paddled while the raft slowly began sinking below the waters as it headed towards the falls. As it did, the group began to chant a death song as they approached the falls, and allegedly, the explorers raised their hats in salute as the raft went over. Legend says that 2 screaming eagles flew by at the same moment, and today, people say that while standing near the falls, you can hear the tribe still chanting their death song. Coming in at number 4, White Rock Lake, Dallas, Texas. White Rock Lake began operating all the way back in 1911, in turn providing space for folks to hike and bike and picnic and whatever you want to do, as well as host events. In 1929, the location became a Dallas City Park. However, many people are very wary of visiting and fear that they will encounter the Lady of the Lake. Now, stories about the Lady of the Lake go back as far as the 1930s. The first account was made in 1953 by a man named Guy Malloy, a former director of displays for Neiman Marcus. Reportedly, he gave a ride to a young girl close by to the lake. Dressed in one of his wares, the girl claimed to have been in a car accident with her boyfriend nearby. Malloy gave her a raincoat, however, once they went to the address that she provided, she was gone, vanished into thin air. Since his claim came to light, many others have come forward stating that they also picked up the lady in white. Stories differ slightly, with the girl sometimes wearing a nightgown and other times wearing a wedding dress. They also give differing accounts of her death, such as a boating accident, suicide, or even a murder-suicide. However, the one thing that stays the same is the ride itself. She will stand on the road near White Rock Lake and call out to passers-by. She will then sit in the backseat in her dress, soaking wet. She will never speak and will often cry for the duration of the ride before disappearing completely. Those who arrive at the address and speak to the owners of the house will often find out that the lady was a previous owner who drowned years earlier. Coming in at number 3, Hales Bar Dam Tennessee. Hales Bar was America's first hydroelectric dam, constructed in the early 20th century. However, little did folks know that they were building it on cursed land. Now, some history for you. The Treaty of Sycamore Shoals was agreed upon between Daniel Boone and a handful of Cherokee leaders, which was signed back in 1775. One of the leaders was Dragging Canoe, who was apparently outraged and vowed the land would forever remain dark and bloody for those who lived upon it. The waters in the area were also deemed sacred by the local natives, who believed they could see the souls of their ancestors being sucked into the water's whirlpools. Now, as you have probably already expected, the construction of the dam itself was faced with horrific problems. There were numerous accidents as well as conflict amongst the workers with regards to race. During this time, several hundred workers died while working on Hales Bar, not to mention the dam also leaked not long after completion. Due to this incident, the decision was made to flood the area below the dam, which ended up washing out an old cemetery. In the 60s, the dam was ultimately closed, with a new dam being built in its stead named Nickajack, named for an old Cherokee village. Now, of course, things didn't go so well, and the dam ended up flooding the old village for which it was named after. Those who have visited the old dam are said to have encountered many Cherokee spirits, the ghost of a murdered woman, workers who have perished, as well as demons lurking in the tunnels below. Coming in at number 2, Braley Pond, Virginia. Braley Pond is located in the George Washington National Forest in Virginia and is known for its tranquility, trout fishing, as well as hiking and biking. However, in May of 2003, the Braley Pond area was the site of a brutal gang murder, with suicides in the forest nearby also being reported. Visitors to the nearby campgrounds have often reported the feeling of nausea, disorientation, and dread that suddenly overcomes them. Not to mention, some folks have reported shadowy figures and the sounds of children's laughter. Now, in 2006, members of the Shenandoah Valley Paranormal Society investigated the Braley Pond, stating, I quote, "Something came home with me that night. It felt like slime and I could feel it moving around on my skin." Following the investigation of the pond, it was reported that one of the researchers committed suicide after their visit. However, the most terrifying tale about the pond comes from paranormal researcher Shea Willis. Willis and a friend investigated the pond with a dozen teenagers who were interested in parapsychology. Upon their arrival, Willis instantly sensed anxiety, and not long after, two of the teens got physically ill. Following this, Willis decided to end the trip. However, later that night, Willis and her friend decided to return to the site. As soon as they arrived, the sense of dread once again returned, with Willis recalling, I quote, "This presence didn't feel like the others, it didn't even feel human." They then heard something in the pond, and as they turned, a green orb was hovering above the water. Willis fumbled with her camera, during which time the noises became louder and louder. Scared, the pair ran away. However, Willis's friend was flung into the air and into the water by an unknown force. Willis called to him, but as she did, she felt something large crawling on her back. They both managed to make it back to the car. They checked their bodies, but they found nothing on them. Over the next few months, Willis returned to the site, continuing to encounter several strange occurrences. And finally, coming in at number 1, Lake Superior, Canada. In late 1927, the SS Kamloops was experiencing trouble during a storm on Lake Superior. The captain of its accompanying ship, the Koidl, spotted a huge wave brewing and in turn changed course, heading to Fort William instead. He warned the SS Kamloops, however it must have come too late as the message never arrived. After 3 weeks of searching the waters, the hunt for the ship was called off. That following spring, the remains of 9 crew members as well as a lifeboat were found on a small island near a fire pit. The boat would also go down as one of the ghost ships of the Great Lakes, with dozens of ships vanishing without a trace under similar circumstances. The SS Kamloops was eventually found at the bottom of Lake Superior and surprisingly well preserved. The food was in extraordinarily good condition and crew cabins still looked lived in. Now, it may be surprising to hear that some incredibly experienced divers braved the waters of Lake Superior and dived to its depths to examine the ship. However, those who have done this have reported seeing one specific Kamloops crew member who apparently appeared to them below the surface. They nicknamed him Grandpa. Now, some have reported seeing him lounging in a crew bunk, while others claim to have seen him going about his regular crew routines. However, the most frightening of them all was the report that Grandpa would follow divers as they swam, with the ghost even reaching out to touch them on some occasions. Now, the ship was of course investigated, during which time the remains of a preserved crew member was found in the engine room. The body still had its flesh and maintained an icy mummification. This was of course Grandpa's body. Sucks to be him. Ultimately, the cause of the sinking of SS Kamloops was never discovered, and likely never will be. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any haunted waters that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 strangest SCP creatures that make no sense. Emmanuel Davis said, "Lucy is so cute, but why does she look like she doesn't like showing emotion?" It's because I can't show emotion. I'm not even a human being. Who shows emotion anyway? I'll never smile. Matt Elder said, "So does Lucy only wear turtlenecks now?" Can confirm. I'm hiding things. Can't show my neck. Super Rockstar said, "Lucy, you're an SCP that makes sense to me." I can't even respond to that. Thank you. Nova said, "Younger Mr. Blank, that toaster be looking mighty thick." Ain't that the truth? And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.